We aren't playing any games today because this guy made a new video, and everybody seems to be watching it. So we're going to watch it too. He made a tweet saying that he wanted people to react to it and stuff, so that's what we're gonna do. I think this guy's name is like Biakai or something is how you pronounce it. But I've never really watched this guy's content. I've seen this video once. That's really all I know. Before we get into it, like, the name of the video is Why Do We Miss Smite? I'll just be honest, I don't really miss Smite. I miss the Smite Pro League, and that's it. Smite 1 is a dog shit game when you go back and really think about it and play it now. It's just not nearly as good as what we have now. So no, I don't really miss Smite 1. But with that being said, I will give it a shot. I'll watch the video and see how it is. Okay, it's a little loud, but we'll do this.
What? I just threw him.
Invincible Titan. Love that.
She's legitimately the best player alive.
Oh yeah, little.
What the fuck?
Little buggy.
Clip that shit.
Why do we miss this? What's up, babes? It's Biakai, 40 and balding.
Smite.
I don't ask this rhetorically,
Clemson.
metaphorically, figuratively, erotically, or whatever. Genuinely, why do we miss Smite 1? About a month ago, I asked the question that this video is trying to answer, and it got 131 fucking comments. This is just an absurd amount of replies for a tweet about Smite. And the thing is, the vast majority of these comments, some of them being longer, some of them being shorter, but people were actually trying to explain why they missed Smite 1.
My mains,
well, except for a few
no
people
aspects.
that just wrote shit like, I don't. There were just
I don't really miss Smite 1, I'm sorry.
And all of them had
I miss
some
SPL,
kind
that's
of
it.
truth to them. Oh, Smite 1 had more game modes that I miss. Esports. Esports was a really common one. I miss Bake Kujira. Okay, I think this person is
Nobody
actually lying.
said that.
Another tweet I thought was really interesting came from Inbound, who's known for doing the WAP dance on stream that one time for some reason. Recently released a poll asking which game his next tournament should be on, Smite 1 or Smite 2. For the majority of the 24 hours that this poll was live, the results were mostly 50-50, like on the dot. It ended with 47% of voters wanting a Smite 1 tournament and 53% of voters wanting a Smite 2 tournament. Isn't that just really fucking interesting? Before getting into the cock and balls of this video, I would like to give a brief history lesson for Smite 1 and Smite 2's creation. It's a lot more complex than what I'm about to say, but this is the summary. Smite 1 was built using Unreal Engine 3, which was presented for the first time in 2004. Smite 1 was officially released in March of 2014, and you know what else was officially released in March of 2014? Unreal Engine 4. I'm sure that's not going to lead to any problems.
RuneScape music in the background.
In 2022, and oh my god, Smite has some catching up to do. Other popular MOBAs like League of Legends or Dota 2 had their own custom engine made specifically for their game, and I'm assuming Hi-Rez didn't do this because of lack of resources. I mean, they're Hi-Rez. Also, a side note, I still see people in 2025 thinking that comparing Hi-Rez to Valve and Riot Games is fair. Why are you the way that you are? Please change. So when comparing the engine timeline to Smite's timeline, it seems that Smite was kind of put on an artificial lifespan. As Unreal Engine 3 becomes more and more obsolete, this creates a lot of problems for Smite, both in-game and out of game. Hi-Rez just had a lot of ideas they wanted to implement in Smite 1, but couldn't because the engine was so outdated. The easiest example of this would be Aladdin's ultimate ability. Aladdin, as he currently is in Smite 2, just isn't possible in Smite 1. And outside of the game, it's just harder to keep up with the competition when your competition is just using a better, more up-to-date engine. And real quick, who the fuck knows how to work with Unreal Engine 3 in 2025? So as it's becoming more outdated, there's just less people that are willing to work with Unreal Engine 3. So I don't think it's a stretch to say that hiring people was also really hard. So with all these problems that were directly caused by the outdated engine, it makes sense that they would want to make it more up to date. Hi-Rez was most likely aware of this, which is why Smite 2 was being developed in the first place. The Smite 1 ship was sinking, and the only life raft that Hi-Rez saw was developing a new game from the ground up, which was DKO. I mean, Smite 2. And I do
He could have kept going. Hand of the Gods,
as
DKO,
literally as possible.
Realm
There
Royale.
isn't some magical button that can just port something from Unreal Engine 3 directly to Unreal Engine 5. And this lack of a magical port button is a key component for why people miss Smite 1 in so many different ways. And if you're wondering why my outfit changed, it's because I redid this entire portion of the script, and we're just gonna act like this is what I originally wrote. People miss their favorite gods, their favorite skins. Yeah. If Clash was in Smite 2, I'd be playing that shit daily. Wait, this is your Penta? I'm setting it up. Rooting. I'm using my 1. I'm tanking. No!
You
Wait, what?
A bitch.
Wait! And Smite 2 hasn't gotten to the point in its development cycle where every single person will be able to play their favorite god in a similar way that they did in Smite 1. And that can be due to the god just not existing yet, or Smite 2 being perceived as too different from Smite 1. Why is Sobek pushing me into a wall and fucking me in the ass? That's not what Sobek does. That's what Hercules does. So not only do you have to relearn a good portion of the game that you've already spent a considerable amount of time learning in Smite 1, such as, items, you now have to learn new aspects of the game on top of that, pun entirely intended. Aspects are a way to fundamentally change the way a god is played without making it feel like you're playing a different god. Something as simple as making Sir Nunos' auto attacks a buffed melee auto rather than ranged, and reducing the cooldown of his dash completely changes how you would play Sir Nunos. However, aspects don't come without their fair share of criticism, an easy one being that aspects make the game much harder to balance, and Hi-Rez isn't really known for their genius balance decisions. The point I'm trying to make is that Smite 2 does have these exclusive features that are not in Smite 1, whether that's aspects, the day and night cycle, maybe entirely new gods like Hecate or Mordred. If something you dislike about Smite 2 is not present in Smite 1, then naturally you're just gonna miss Smite 1 a little bit more. And this concept of liking or disliking Smite 2 exclusive features is a very personal thing, and it'll change from person to person. For example, I like aspects. I think they're great, but I know a lot of people are gonna press the dislike button after hearing that.
That's crazy to me. I didn't know that people didn't like aspects. Aspects are one of the most interesting things that they've ever done for Smite. In Smite 1, games felt so samey because there were people who their favorite god was a certain god, and their favorite god is only played a certain way, and that's the only god that they're ever gonna play. If your favorite god's fucking Agni, well, there's 2 different ways that I'm going to have to play against him. Either he's going to crit me or for a billion, or he's going to sit there and poke the shit out of my entire team. Like, that is kind of cool. I like that. Or he could be like back when they were doing a lot of solo Agni. I mean, it doesn't happen anymore, but, just for an example, they're doing solo Agni aspect. That's just shit that doesn't happen in Smite 1.
But do you want to know an opinion that I think the majority of the Smite 2 player base will share? It's that we miss esports!
Yeah. 100% agree. This is the only thing that I would say I really miss. Other than some characters, but I mean, like, shit, dude, I'm having so much fun with Smite 2 anyways, like, I'm fine. This is what I miss.
Do I even need to fucking say anything? I mean, I'm going to, but you get the fucking point. Esports is kind of like the soul of any gaming community. People don't fly halfway across the world just to watch their favorite team compete in a video game for no fucking reason. People loved this shit, and people miss this shit. And it's very obvious as to why. Some of Smite's most memorable moments come directly from esports. Cuvo Fred beat the fuck out of his chair once.
That's a Mortal Kombat fatality.
Layers yelling, "You guys stink," was pretty funny.
Making it happen, and they win that game too, and they...
I loved seeing Venenu call Hurrywind a Tower Boy, and it's not because I dislike him, but god damn it, it was entertaining to watch unfold. And the craziest part about these 3 examples I just gave you is that they have nothing to do with the actual game of Smite. All three of these examples could have happened in any other esport because Smite esports goes beyond the actual battleground. The community and the culture surrounding esports is what makes it special. And it's kind of insane how something as small as layers venting about the Solar Scarab's bathroom not being clean enough was enough of a reason to get some people to watch the SPL the following weekend. I mean, shit, I'd even argue that's more entertaining than the actual game sometimes.
Dude, that's literally what I'm just dealing with. I just had to put my cat on the floor.
Down from there.
Because my cat will not stop.
And then you get into the actual games, and sometimes you have moments like this.
And he's going right to the carry in the backside, but Beninu is going to fall. Variety somehow gets a kill out of all that to at least take down the bird.
They're still
Old
trying
Thor.
to bring down Variety, but it's going to take them a while because these
Dude,
guys are all
King
out of
Arthur
mana.
is so
They're gonna have to
gross.
disengage.
Holy shit.
As Zeros has lost his buff. The goal now, maybe go back in. That
Oh,
is
wow.
unreal from Deathwalker. That is disgusting. For streak up, and it's right back to the Pyromancer. And again, it is a 208, but Sam
I remember this.
The Thor out of nowhere suddenly has flipped the fight.
I just really miss sitting in Discord with the boys and streaming an SPL game and talking about what the pros should or should not have done in the game we're watching. You know, the people that are exponentially better at the game than I am. And I'm sure the competitive players miss, well, the competition. I've talked to a lot of former Smite competitors and read through so many comments, and a big reason that some people aren't playing Smite 2, and this includes longtime Smite 1 veterans,
Literally
is because
just
they
SPL.
feel like there's nothing to work towards. Sure, there's a ranked leaderboard with a #1 spot, but that isn't the same as being in a true competitive environment. An environment where
not the same at all.
10 players know exactly what they're doing, and in a ranked match, you're lucky to get like 3. Even if you aren't necessarily striving for like the big championship on the world stage, it's just nice knowing that there are milestones to work towards, even if they're significantly smaller in scale, like, you know, SOC or SEC. So it just kind of sucks on both ends, regardless of the kind of person you are, and it doesn't really help that a company participating in esports is just kind of throwing money away. Esports is not profitable. Full stop. It's mostly written off as a marketing expense because if there's one thing that esports is good at, it's generating headlines and making people want to try out their game. But oh my god, especially in today's climate, I feel like a lot of the executives are just like, what? Money go down? No, that's bad. We need money go up.
Let's reduce expenses by laying off our employees. Twice.
I feel like it just takes a lot of support from the
that
fan
shit
base
sucked.
to convince these
For
executives
sure.
that, hey, esports is worth it.
One of the
Remember
worst
Worlds of Fans?
things that happened.
You guys remember that shit? I've always held the belief that the big Worlds of
Wait,
Fans...
what is it? Worlds with fans? I don't even know. The game went trending this week as it's possible they will be hosting Smite World Championships without a
You guys
live
remember
audience.
that
Oh,
shit?
I remember
I've always
this
held
actually.
the belief that the
remember
biggest
that.
sign a game is dying is when a company starts gutting their esports program. And I'm honestly really scared that the inverse might be true, especially with a MOBA, where if there aren't esports, then can a game really thrive? And right now, Smite 2 esports is being held up by a bunch of extremely dedicated community members that are taking time out of their day to help run community tournaments. And I'd like to highlight
that's the
a
real
few of
shit.
those. First
That's
off,
how
we
it
have
should
Smite
be.
Prime, and I'm just going to
But
read
we
off
need
a
to-
part of a
an actual
conversation
thing,
I had
too.
with Jithens about a month ago. Jithens is somebody that's been helping run community tournaments for an extremely long time now, and he even goes as far as to make his own trophies for these tournaments. I just like the Smite community. No matter how bleak the esports scene is, it's important to have one running with or without money. I've been running Smite tournaments since I was like 14 or 15. Around 2016, Smite Prime was the only community tournament, and that's when esports was dying. It's important to keep the skill level going because when it's their time to bat, it's not going to be a shit show. And part of me is just stubborn. I'm not willing to let Smite esports just die when I can contribute. And remember, Smite Prime isn't just a one-man show. It has a very dedicated team of people that...
Yeah, I mean, I think what they're doing is awesome and really cool. I think it's being blown out of proportion a little bit, or maybe I'm just spoiled by like the fighting game community, because this is just normal. This is normal shit that people who actually like their game do. This isn't like crazy stuff. This is normal. This guy is a normal, passionate, awesome guy who wants tournaments for the game he likes. There's a lot of people like that.
That are trying to keep Smite 2 esports alive
I don't think
in some way, shape, or form.
I don't think people doing that makes the game in a more dire situation than like it actually is by like how do I explain it? Like using the fact that somebody outside of the game is working so hard to have a community should not be a spotlight onto why the community is dying. I feel like because there's a lot of games that do that.
So huge shout out to Dilo, Malum, Tesdai, I'm probably going to mispronounce these, Morty, Basically Billy, Rosie, Spirited Book, and Mussy. And that's just one league. There's also the Albion Giants League, or AGL. They typically have 5 to 10 divisions per year of 8 teams per season. And they've also worked with Hi-Risk to receive some kind of consistent prizing, social media promotion, and even recently got their own badge added to Smite 2. So once again, thank you so much to the staff behind AGL for making it successful and for keeping Smite 2 esports alive in some way. Even on a much smaller scale, there are creators hosting their own tournaments without the help of Hi-Rez. Big Tony is the first example that comes to mind, where he runs his own tournaments with his mods without the help of Hi-Rez. They still get enough people to sign up. They still provide prizing, which by the way is out of Big Tony's own pocket, and they still find success. That's only achievable due to his small community that he's built up over time because he's found a team of people that are just as passionate about it as he is. There are even people running Smite tournaments completely on their own. At the start of the video, I mentioned Bobby's tournament, and that is quite literally a one-man show. Look, I've never hosted a Smite tournament, nor have I helped with hosting a Smite tournament, but doing 99% of the work can't be easy, right? Fucking W inbound. I feel like I just made the Whataburger symbol. And the common thread between all of these community leagues or tournaments that I just discussed is that there's no real incentive to hosting them. They don't really receive a worthwhile salary. They don't get an insane amount of clout from it. They just do it for the love of the game because they don't want to see Smite 2 esports die. This is why I preach that the community is the best part of Smite. I mean, it's also the worst part, but that's not really relevant right now. And I don't want people to view this section of the video as like being inherently negative towards Hi-Rez because there isn't an SPL right now. I don't know what conversations they're having internally. I don't know what challenges they need to overcome before there's an official Smite 2 SPL, a Smite 2 Smite Pro League. But I do think it's important to commend them when they decide to help out, and even more importantly, actively support these community leagues and tournaments. And that support can range from something extremely small, such as liking a tweet, to, I don't know, actually participating in the tournaments. Again, esports doesn't usually profit, so in order to get official Smite 2 esports, we have to support our local communities as much as we can and just pray to God that Hi-Risk someday succeeds enough with Smite 2 to warrant them pulling the trigger on a new SPL. I don't know what the future of Smite
and I feel like esports being always a detriment to your funds, I don't think is 100% true, because I do remember when they were selling all of like the esports stuff back in the day, like they were selling the emblems and the stuff you could bet on teams and stuff like that, that they were pulling in like more gems. Maybe that was because the game was more popular back then, but I just remember they were making more money back then when we like could bet on everything, and you know, people going to Worlds cost a lot of money, of course, but they also feel like they were sinking so much money into esports because they put so much money into stuff that didn't really matter. Like, you don't have to pay, you know, tons and tons of money for tons and tons of people that are working just for one game, you know? Like, they would have a cameraman, a set man, 2 people that are on the desk, 2 people that are commentating. Like, all these people are getting paid salaries, which I think, you know, commentators and stuff do deserve to be paid. But you don't need this many people. Get somebody who is like a community member willing to work either for free or for cheap to work the camera for spectator, like something like that. Pay your commentators that are from the community, you know, that love the game, and just have it be that, you know, the desk and the commentators could be the same people. You don't have to get 5 different people just for the desk and then 2 people to commentate. You know, like they sink so much money into so much manpower that I feel like it made them run out of money. Like they were just sinking money into esports whenever I feel like they didn't have to do that much. And if there was like, I think, you know, over the course of Smite Prime, they've spent like tons of thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. If you just pull that a little bit, all of it, and then just put it into 1 or 2 big tournaments for the year, like, it doesn't have to be a $2 million tournament. It could be like Worlds is 150 grand instead. You know, it doesn't have to be anything crazy. We'll still come and watch. Yeah, I feel like the whole thing of it being a money sink is just from Hi-Rez having a warped perspective on what money in an esports scene is supposed to look like, because they had one tournament that is top 3 biggest esports events of all time, and they're like, oh, we got to keep having way too much money, way too much like product value, so many people involved, when I really don't. I think that's just excessive.
Esports holds. I don't really think anybody does. And who knows, maybe I am being a little delusional for hoping SPL can return to like its former glory or whatever, but I think it's better to be delusional and supportive than it is to be pessimistic and absent. Now we can talk about the last and potentially biggest
Dude just hopped out the shower or something
as to why they missed Smite 1. That being nostalgia and expectations. This was the first video I have ever uploaded to this YouTube channel. There's something really special about the moment where Smite becomes just another game to this is a genuine part of my life now. And part of why it's so special is you can't have multiple of those moments. You only get one. But here's the thing. This video wasn't that moment for me.
I am lying to you.
It can take a lot of time for that to become something you genuinely love and form a series of memories that you'll never forget for the rest of your life. That moment for me was somewhere between my first video that did extremely well on Twitter and winning the Olympian election. Between these 2 points in time, I realized that there is something about this community that's very special to me, and it's not that I wanted to become a part of it, it's that I genuinely wanted to make a difference for the better. I didn't just like Smite and wish it well in the background, I wanted to actively contribute to the growth of the community. But
this cat is just going fucking crazy. Holy shit. Okay, I had to throw away that plastic bag that she was just fucking with. She could not stop.
That moment in the events that followed was my moment. My story. Every single person that has embarked on their Smite journey and ended up falling in love with the game has their own unique moment, because that's what it is. It's unique to every single person. 2 people might have similar moments where they rhyme, but they aren't going to be identical. You might not even know what that moment is. You might be like me and just know that it happened at some point in this general time frame. But when you've been around the community as long as I have, you...
For me, I think the moment was when I first watched Adapting play the game, and I was like, holy smokes, this is what the game could be. I'm gonna get here, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna get to that point. And then it was a lot of just grinding and grinding until I think I hit like Diamond for the first time, and I was like, oh my god, I could be good. Little did I know, you know, years and years later, I'm finally hitting Masters. Like, it took forever of going back and forth on if it was what I wanted to do, or if I actually cared enough to grind, until it was a reality. But, I mean, I've loved the game for as long as I've played it. I'm a very competitive guy. Once I see a game and it has a cool esports scene, I just fall in love, and Smite has the greatest esports scene of any game I've ever played or been a part of.
Start recognizing when other community members have had their moment where Smite, again, just became a series of amazing memories that changed their life for the better. I've seen people make lifelong friendships through this game. Through Smite, I have seen people meet their current significant other and have babies with them. When will it be my turn? I can't speak for everybody, but I'm fairly certain that a significant portion of the Smite community missed Smite 1 not because of the gameplay or the features, but because of how they felt when they played it and the personal growth they experienced while playing Smite 1.
This is a big thing with like any older games. Like, it happens all the time. a new game comes out and then they're like, oh, I miss the old one. No, it's just
I don't think
you miss
many
how you
people
felt.
could have
That's how you
predicted
were.
the impact that Smite
That's how
would
life
have on
was.
their life, and that's due to the fact that there were just
Or
no
you enjoy reminiscing
expectations
on
when
it.
we started playing Smite 1. Your favorite content creator probably wasn't initially expecting this game to serve as like a medium to grow a community. Hi-Rez probably wasn't expecting to get collaborations with Avatar: The Last Airbender and RuneScape. Those are my top 2 favorite pieces of media of all time. How am I this lucky? And when you have
I love
such
RuneScape
little expectations,
and Avatar.
it's very hard to be
I
let
think
down.
I love RuneScape a little more.
So now we can talk about Smite 2. I'm not going to sit here and say that every single person that started with Smite 1 just likes Smite 2. Some people just don't like Smite 2, and that's okay. But I also think there's a lot of people that do enjoy Smite 2, but still had their expectations let down and still yearn for the days of Smite 1. And the thing about this was Smite 2 was marketed as Smite 1 but better. And the confusing part is that I think that's true. Smite 2 looks better than Smite 1. There's more features and toys to play with. There's completely unique gods that could not exist in Smite 1 like we talked about earlier. The development cycle is every 2 weeks instead of every month for major updates. Maybe you'll disagree with what I just said. That's fine. Smite 2 isn't perfect and it's worthy of criticism. But when Smite 2 is like actually considered to be a fully finished product, I do believe that it'll blow Smite 1 out of the water in terms of how good of a game it is. Just please, Hi-Rez, please give us a custom assault map, or just remake the assault map from Smite 1. That's what I want most in life right now. So
yeah, I think the game's already like blown Smite 1 out of the water. It's a much better game. So much more variants and fun things you can do. This is an unflattering frame to pause on. I apologize. There we go. This is a little bit better. But the game it's fantastic. It's great to play. I love everything about Smite 2. It is one of the most fun games that I've ever played. It's probably more fun than Smite 1 ever was for me. I enjoy it a lot more than Smite 1. Obviously no SPL, but like that's literally all I personally miss from it. Although I do understand what this guy's saying. It comes down to the nostalgia of it, and I am nostalgic for Smite 1, but not in a way where I want to play it. I just leave it at nostalgia.
Just not hitting the same as Smite 1, even if there's a very strong argument for it being a better game already. Well, I think the answer is pretty simple. Smite 2 isn't the game we fell in love with. It looks like Smite 1, it plays like Smite 1, but it is not Smite 1. And honestly, that's a really difficult thing to come to terms with when you've been playing this game for so long. Smite 2 is not the game I initially fell in love with. The friendships I made and the memories I'll cherish forever weren't made in this game. It was made in this one. And honestly, that's okay. I think it's unrealistic to assume that
I mean, I guess I definitely understand where he's coming from. I'm not trying to pull a rabbit out of a hat here and just fucking be like, well, you know, this doesn't make any sense. But I don't see it that way. I see it as like a continuation of like, this is still the game that I fell in love with. This is the game where I met like most of my best friends and like that I've played thousands and thousands of hours with all of my best friends. It's just in a new coat of paint, and it's more fun and exciting and a little bit, you know, spiced up.
Anything that you enjoy is going to last forever. It's much easier to say this now that Smite 2 is out, but even before Smite 2 was publicly available, I thought it was kind of unrealistic to assume that Smite 1's lifespan was going to last much longer than it has. I think Smite 1 lasted a lot longer than what people initially thought. I mean, there are people that are commenting dead game every single year.
Yeah, I was thinking the Smite 1 was fucking dead in the water, like, after Season 10. I was like, there's no way, like, Season 10 Worlds was great, but, I mean, maybe it gets a couple more seasons, but the game had just been dying, and it was so outdated, and it was ready for something new.
For the past 10 years straight. I'm just thankful that I was there for the ride.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful that the developers gave us this fucking thing that we love. Smite 1 touched so many people, and for many of those people, Smite 2 won't touch them the same way. Wow,
I
that
didn't like
sounded
that.
better in my head. And I'm sure that Smite 2 will affect
didn't like
some
what
of
he
those
just said.
veterans in the same way that Smite 1 did,
Mhm.
but it's also important to remember that Smite 2 could be the start of somebody else's story. Recently, I've been a little dishonest with myself, and I realized that I spent a long time playing Smite 2 just waiting or expecting to have the same experience and feelings than I did in Smite 1.
I think this is the problem. A lot of people are doing this. Like, I was gonna say, mentally, people are separating these two games a lot more than they really have to. I think it's all in your head, which is not your fault or anything like that. But maybe he'll get into like why he was doing it. But I think a lot of people do what he did, where he's playing with some expectation that it'll be just like the old days, and there's gonna be like one moment that's gonna make the game feel exactly how it did, 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago, Because I've been playing Smite for 10 years. It will be 10 years this year. My first ever time that I streamed Smite was in like March of 2016 or something like that. I've been playing for a long time. And like, yeah, the feelings that I got when I first played Smite, I've never felt them again. But well, I don't know.
And
My cat just unpaused the video with her tail. When I first played Smite 2, it felt kind of like that, where I was like, oh, we gotta work out all the kinks. But obviously there was the layer of, oh, I've been, Masters level Smite player for a long time. I'll figure it out. And there wasn't that before. It was, I'm so ass, but this game is fun and all my friends are playing it.
don't think that it will, and that's okay. Because while my story started a long time ago, that doesn't mean Smite 2 won't be the start of somebody else's story. I want people to have those
I want to
special
meet people
moments and
who
make
have
their
never
own
played Smite
story,
1 but love
make
2.
their own memories and lifelong friendships. Because I know what that feels like, and I want other people to know that feeling as well. And in order to have other people experience those feelings, there has to be an opportunity for the story to be told in the first place. That's why I think it's important to uplift and encourage those that maybe haven't wanted to give Smite 2 the chance yet. So if you've been on the fence about giving Smite 2 another chance, please do. The worst case scenario is that you lose an hour or two of your time, and the best case scenario is you fall in love with the game either for the first time or all over again. Thank you guys for watching. This has been Black Eye, and I will see you in the next video. And welcome to the outro, where I want to talk about something real quick that doesn't actually pertain to the video, but I still think
It's Black Eye, is how you say his name?
Black Eye,
Black Eye.
and I will
Black
see
Eye?
you again. Thank you guys for watching. This has been Black Eye.
Well, let's hear what he said at the outro, and then I'll give my final thoughts about the video
and
how
welcome
I
to the
feel
outro,
about
where I
what
want
he
to
was
talk
saying.
about something real quick that doesn't actually pertain to the video, but I still think it's worth noting.
Mhm.
I've been gone for a couple months, and normally it's because I just didn't have motivation, and this time it was because my cat passed away, and I was very depressed for a couple months. That's pretty much it. If you're wondering why the cat in this video looked different than the cat in the last video, it's because, the cat in the last video passed, so I got a new one a couple months later. That's the simple version, but I do plan on going live the day after this is uploaded to talk more about where I've been and what I plan to do. So if you're interested in that at all, feel free to follow my Twitch channel. It's in the description of this video. But yeah, thanks again for watching, and I will talk to you guys later.
I think I got all my thoughts out about like how I felt about every point that he was making while it was happening. But it was a good video. I liked it. I think he did a great job of touching all of the talking points without being overly negative to either side. I think it's okay if you miss Smite 1. I'm not in the same boat as you, but I think it's fine, and I understand why you would. And there are aspects of the game that I miss, but I understand that we're in a new game now, and I love this game, and I think that it's a beautiful game, and great things are happening. But yeah, it was a great video. It was awesome. Good watch. What I miss about Smite 1 is that my computer could actually run it. Smite 2 turns my laptop into an air fryer.